All right. Okay. As we are now being recorded to go out, I need to read the language. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. The chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Okay. This meeting will be replayed via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live video on demand archives in the Town of Barnstable's website, which is https://streaming85.townofbarnstable.us/cablecast public site/channel =1. Hopefully next month we can make that a better link that I have to read out. But anyways, all right. Well, let's get rolling on this. This meeting, Amy, thank you for making it and getting us to quorum today. First step is to approve the agenda for this week. Does anyone have anything they want to add, change?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Great. I second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. We do have 2 sets of minutes to approve since the minutes were not ready for the meeting in July. So let's do them individually, if that's okay with everybody. So first is we'll be approving the minutes from the meeting on June 22nd. Sorry, June 18th. Let me start that again. We'll be approving minutes from the meeting at June 18th. Does anyone have edits to those?
No, not I.
I don't. Amy?
No.
All right. I'll then motion to approve the minutes from June 18th, 2024.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up is the minutes from the July meeting. That is the meeting on July 16th, 2024. Any edits, changes?
No.
No.
All right. I'll motion again to approve the minutes from the July 16th, 2024 meeting.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up, Kevin, operations report.
All right, how's everyone today? Excellent. All right, we will start off on Monday through Wednesday, July 1st and the 3rd. Veolia staff working diligently up at the Mary Dunn treatment plant, trying to get things back up and running from the lightning strike on Sunday night before the 4th of July holiday. It was a very extensive strike and caused damage to more critical components than we've seen. We have been methodically working our way through the plant, checking everything to ensure its proper operation. As a matter of fact, we are still finding things, unfortunately, that are not performing either at 100% or some even at 50%. We're in the process of securing all the items that are needed to be replaced, but they will be repaired. And unfortunately, we're still hearing from some of our vendors that they're dealing with COVID waits. So things are definitely, I personally just don't think anyone's stocking anything on shelves anymore. So unfortunately, some of the bigger items, meters and that type of stuff, whereas we're looking at like 4 to 6 weeks. We actually did receive the meters. So now we're just waiting on some other parts and pieces, and those should be coming in, and hopefully we'll get that back up and somewhat normalized within the next couple of weeks. The 5th, on-call staff were called out to number 12 Barnstable Road for a report of water bubbling in the road. It was discovered during the initial investigation that the service to number 12 Barnstable Road was leaking at the water main. Bortolotti Construction was called in to make repairs. The water, the water line was replaced from the main to the curb stop. It was also discovered during the repair that there was another leak on that service closer to the curb stop end. It looks like an old repair had been made previously, and the only thing we could see was the gas company had run a new gas main over over where the repair was located. Not sure if that was a coincidence or just so now we have a new water main, new water service from Curb Stop, and it's free leaks. So Thursday, July 11th, our staff alongside Carbon Activated Corporation were on site at our airport location to perform a carbon exchange. The exchange was being performed on Airport 2A, the lead vessel. The exchange went really well. It was completed in about 4 hours. The same protocols followed by filling the vessel with chlorinated system water. Then we take 2 bacteria samples to ensure the vessel is clean and ready to be placed back into service. The 18th of July, we had Bartlett Consolidated in to replace a hydrant that had been hit by a vehicle on Warehouse Road. The hydrant H460 had been backed into by a motorist. It broke down below, so the hydrant had to be replaced. It was replaced and flushed and put back into service. Friday the 19th, we had staff back up to Mary Dunn Treatment Plant to diagnose and correct more issues we're having with pH analyzers. The staff replaced the old malfunctioning one with a new analyzer and controller, and then it was calibrated to ensure the accuracy. Typically, when a pH analyzer goes down, it basically shuts the well in the plant off, depending upon which one it's on. So it sounds like a fairly simple operation, but seeing we're counting on that this time of year for a lot of our water demand. When it goes down, it causes a lot of problems. Wednesday, the 24th, staff met a contractor up at Mary Dunn Treatment Plant to measure and plan for the first of many replacement meters that will be coming from Stiles Company. The first one we are replacing, because it will be the fastest turnaround time, is the 8-inch mag meter. That's on the airport well. These meters are so important since we pace all the chemicals off the flow that is moving through these meters. No flow, no chemicals. Too much flow, too much chemical. It really is a fine art of appropriate balancing to ensure compliance and providing reliable, safe drinking water. The 29th, Monday, we had Regan meter testing in to perform source meter calibrations to all our well and treatment plants. This is a requirement from the Department of Environmental Protection and is performed annually to ensure that we are recording the correct amount of water that we withdraw from the ground. This is the condition that is set by our water withdrawal permit and issued from Mass DEP. And that's all we got on the executive summary. Got a few pictures of the Barnstable Road water leak and repair, or almost repair. Hydrant replacement on Warehouse Road. Deliverables, I'm sure that those caught everyone's eye because everything's pretty much at zeros. It's not quite the full story. We do have a lot of them in. The problem was we had 2 staff members, both seasoned folks. They moved on to greener pastures during the month of July. So unfortunately, one of them was our input person to put this stuff together. So this next report that'll be coming out for August, you'll see these numbers jump up quite a bit.
Right.
It is what it is. Unfortunately, when you lose 2 experienced folks like that, you scramble a little bit. But we're getting back into the swing of things. And I think that's all I have for you.
All right. I have a couple of quick questions. First one, the hydrant that broke. Where was that? Was that a new one? Was that an old one we were scheduled to replace anyways? Or, where did that kind of fall in the age of the hydrant?
It was an older one. It wouldn't have been on the immediate takedown list because it wasn't super old, but unfortunately, luckily for us, his insurance company paid for it. So,
Great.
Typically we kind of get burned on those quite a bit because people won't necessarily always fess up to hitting them. unfortunately, unfortunately for the motorist, there was witnesses there, so police report was taken and all that good stuff.
What do you do with your old hydrants?
We stockpile them, and in case because they're just be
Yeah.
we can borrow caps and stuff like that off of them, or if
That's
there's some
what
other.
I
Yeah,
was wondering if
we
you,
recycle what we can, and then everything else pretty much goes into a stockpile and gets tossed.
oh, okay. Hey, I have a question about the two employees that left in July.
Mhm.
That you said they went off to greener pastures. Did they go to another water department or private? Did they?
No, that was the one thing I wasn't going to let them leave if they were going to another water department. um, Actually, one was chasing a love interest out to the Midwest,
Okay,
and the other one was offered a maintenance position at the Cape Cod Hospital. So still in town, but just
Yeah.
I think just overall, I think you just burnt out. He'd been there for 12, 13 years and needed a change.
there you go.
Please,
Thank
please extend our thank yous to them for their service. We're sorry to see them go, but
Yeah,
Will do.
The second thing I want to add, just this is more commentary, but man, that lightning strike at the beginning of the month, I mean, that was our widowmaker. How many we lost? What, two or three wells?
3
I mean, three wells
initially.
initially, July 4th weekend, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was the Sunday before the 4th. That was the worst timing.
Yeah, I mean, that was the worst. And you and the staff, I mean, they did an insane job to keep everything running. Having guys there at midnight, 2 a.m. running pump valves manually so that we could keep pumping water and nobody noticed is, I think, an amazing testament to you, your team, the whole water department, of how great you all are.
Yeah, I agree. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And please extend our thank you and
I definitely will.
from me personally, and I think I can probably say this from the entire board as well for their extremely hard work during the holiday period.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything else. Louise, you have anything? Amy?
Nope.
I mean, it looks like, it looks like pumping's down a little bit. I mean, I guess a wet summer is reduce a little pumping stress.
It definitely does. And I know it's not always good on the revenue side, and I'm sure
Right.
Hans is talking about that, but it's like when we're limping by, so it's taking a little bit of reprieve from Mother Nature. I'll take it right now.
Exactly.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Well, thank you so much. Kevin, I have nothing else. Does Amy, Louise?
Nope.
All
Nope.
right.
No, I don't.
Excellent. Thank you all. Have a nice night.
Thank
You too.
Okay, next up, Michael. Capital project.
I'll be Michael today.
Okay.
I'm going to be stepping in for him, and we're actually going to have a formal change for the capital improvement project. I guess table is the best way to put it, being that it's a Word file. But either way, I'll be listed as the main contact on those moving forward. That being said, not my best introduction. Tyler had given me an update on one of his projects that he's handling, and when merging together Mike, my, and Tyler's comments, I had accidentally excluded his when copying and pasting stuff over. So he's going to be going a little bit off script from what's included, but that's just to give you guys an accurate update of what's going on. That being said, I'll share my screen and let you guys take a look at that. Is that pulled up for you as well yet?
We do not see it at the moment. And
Okay.
also, congratulations on the promotion of at least title, and no worries about stuff. I've deleted stuff by accident and copy and paste before. So
Yeah,
Exactly. I just
happens.
wanted to put Tyler on notice and make sure that he had a stressful experience. But that being said, he did do his part. I just needed to do a little bit better on mine.
Oh, that's okay, Matt.
Sam, would you be able to grant me screen sharing ability?
You
There
should
we
be all
go.
set, Matt.
yeah, you just got now to. I don't even think I can.
Nope,
No.
no, I'm able to now. I was getting an issue when I was first trying to do that. So that being said, should be able to see that now.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
All right.
So our first project would be our new well exploration program, fourth phase of that project. I think we all know that currently we're going through a little bit of legal headaches with that project, and we are still in a holding pattern while we work through that. So I have no update to offer on that project at this time.
Okay.
But jumping in on our pilot testing project at Mary Dunn and Airport Wells, I believe since we had last spoken, we have received an updated version of that executive summary that we had requested for DPW management's review from Kleinfelder. They have been able to provide that to me, but right now we're going through a bit of contract negotiation work with them. Our contract had expired on the project. So we're working with our procurement office to get an updated contract in place just so that we can close out on that project and have that review completed by our leadership. And that's the main update that I have on this project at that time.
Okay.
Next one is our new straightway water treatment facility and our replacement well project for the Hyannisport and Simmons Pond wells. This project has been evolving quite a bit since we last spoke. Try and summarize this as best I can, being how much has been happening with it. We have asked Kleinfelder to complete an updated PEF submission, project evaluation form for SRF funding to Mass DEP. This was done as a kind of cautionary measure on the project to make sure that if there are any hiccups in the design process or permitting process, that we still have SRF funding available to us. So Kleinfelder's taking care of submitting that, as well as updated versions of the 30 and 75% cost estimates for what was originally the two phases of the project, the GAC winterization building, and then the new treatment facility. That version of the cost estimate that we had submitted to us with design contingencies and some escalators to bring us to the midpoint of construction was coming back about $10 million over the $35.5 million appropriation that we had originally received from town council to complete this project. So what we've been doing is working with Kleinfelder to explore any potential cost saving measures, any changes to project sequencing that we might be able to chase after to try and get the construction budget back in line with the existing appropriation. For the time being, what we've come to a decision on, Hans and DPW engineering, have been to hold off on the replacement well piece for the Simmons Pond and Hyannisport wells so that we can have another appropriation capital improvement project put forward to complete that work. We've been working with Kleinfelder to ensure that the new treatment plant that we're designing will be able to work with the existing Hyannisport and Simmons Pond wells as they exist, to try and just kind of limp along until we can come up with the additional funding. Kleinfelder has been going through an in-depth analysis of the hydraulics and the overall site design, and then the permitting paths as well, to try and figure out how feasible this is, and they believe that we have a path forward with that. Additionally, something that Hans and I had kind of brought forward to Board Chair Sam Wilson was potentially holding off on the second redundant straightway generator. We would still be constructing the interior space for both generators to be held, but we'd hold off on purchasing the second one until a second appropriation order could be secured for that work as well. But still set ourselves up to be able to complete that as soon as we have that in place without impacting the new treatment facility. Right now, Kleinfelder is continuing to work towards 60% design plans. And what we've been exploring now is recoupling the GAC winterization building and the new treatment plant into one project phase, and then kind of treating the replacement wells for Hyannisport and Simmons Pond as a second project phase. So we've still got a little bit of a phasing aspect that we've been exploring with the various permitters and local regulatory boards. But for the time being, that's kind of our plan, is to complete the GAC winterization building and the new treatment plant, and then take care of the remaining portions of the project afterwards. And that's what I have for this update, if anybody happens to have any questions before I move on.
I do, Matt.
Yep.
I just want to clarify a little bit, that the idea is not to hold up on the second generator, but basically to put that in the original bid as an add alt, so that if the bids come back low enough dollar value wise, we can get the second generator installed with the original project. If it comes
Absolutely
in,
correct.
and then if it comes in too high, we can drop that add alt for the contract, and at that moment add it to the second phase of the project. It's a little bit different, but it's how the mechanics is got to work. So that's all. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that, Hans. And from my conversations that I've had with Griffin, that's kind of the planned approach that we had for even the replacement wells is let's get through the permitting, let's get them designed so that we can have them ready to go once we have the funding available. But for the time being, let's submit them as add alternates in case pricing comes back too high.
I just want to add, I know this is obviously tough to get bids that are 10 million over budget. But you guys are doing a great job in kind of scrambling. And I gather some of this is a little bit regulatory with the locations of the new planned wells and some houses. So, it seems like we actually have a good path forward to tackle this now in 2 new phases.
Yeah, it's an evolving project, but we're trying to keep things moving along while also not holding up on this much longer than we really need to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just curious, how is there such a big gap, the 30 million? It's just, we're estimating how much we think it might cost to get that initial approved, and then we get the bids, and then it just doesn't line up. Is that how that works?
No, it's not. It's basically we get our it's all like step by step process. The 35.5 million appropriation came actually from our consultant during the pilot study and the report that was produced afterwards. Okay, so that's what we use to ask for the money plus some contingency. But now what happened is during the design, a lot of issues came up that were not really planned for. One, the other part of it is we still are in a very volatile time relative to inflation and large cost increases. As an example, we have a small piece on Bierce's Way, for instance, where we had planned to spend about $50,000, $50,000, and that was the cost estimate a year and a half ago, for a small piece of a water main extension into the sewer plant. And the bid actually came back double of that. We ended up having to spend $85,000. So, I like to joke about it and say, hey, the cost estimating is a lost art, but the reality is it's right now very volatile, and it's really, really difficult to come up with a reasonable cost estimate.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans. Any other members of the board with any questions related to that project?
No,
Okay.
you've answered you've been very clear. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And we'll try and be continuing to keep you guys in the loop as much as possible with how evolving the situation really is with that project. I'm sure that we'll have more fun decisions to make as we move forward with it. So continuing on, project number 4, we have our lead service line inventory and replacement plan project. This is the other very active project as of right now that we have in our pipeline. Kleinfelder and their subconsultant SD Visual have been able to start the mailing process of the customer lead surveys that you had reviewed at a previous meeting. We've confirmed that we've started receiving some responses via the in-person drop-off that we offered at the Hyannis Water System main office, as well as submissions to Kleinfelder's website that they had set up a link for on that brochure as well. We've received about 30 to 40 responses so far. And what our current plan is to continue tracking the responses, one for completeness and for the $35 bill credit to be applied to those customers' accounts, but also so that any incomplete responses, I can reach out to those customers to see if there were any issues with them collecting those pictures or verifying their service line materials, and kind of give them another opportunity, since they had submitted a response, to get their responses in line with what we consider complete.
Mhm.
So at that point, I'll be reaching out to them. I'll ask them how the survey went. If they happen to have any concerns that they identified to us of a potential lead service line, we can let them know what the next steps are. And then also, Kleinfelder had originally planned to go out to site with their subconsultant and verify some of these services. We requested that they didn't take this approach and kind of enter into people's houses that may not want them. So we'll be using this as an opportunity to ask those customers if they do want assistance, if we might be able to come through as another verifying piece. So I'll be working with Kleinfelder to develop a schedule for those customers to potentially have somebody come out to site if they'd like to assist them with that work. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't know if this is maybe covered, like, what she covered later in the individual agenda item, but any kind of idea where responses sit so far?
Responses have been so far around 40 of the 1,000 that we've sent out. This was also based kind of on the meeting that we had last week with Kleinfelder and some of their staff being out on vacation.
Okay.
So that was about 3 days or so into when we would have expected to see some of these letters arrive at customers' billing addresses. So 40 responses, I feel like, is pretty good for that short duration of time, and we'll hopefully be seeing a lot more within the next week or two.
I hope so too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Moving into item number 5, we have our Route 28 Yarmouth Road intersection project. There's no change, according to Mike, too, from last time we spoke. Item number 6, we have the Route 28 East Sewer Expansion Project and the water main extension piece of that. Update from last time is that the water work is complete, and they're anticipating substantial completion as they go through starting their project closeout activities, but that has not been achieved yet.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions on that project as well.
To some extent, I guess 5 and 6 are probably sitting because it's summer and it's.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Robert B. Hour is the contractor for the 28 East project, and at least our directive to them has been no work within the summer. So it's more just figuring out what their project closeout activities are and letting us know that they intend to begin work on those shortly.
Awesome.
And then likewise, the Ocean Street Water Main Project, item number 7, the design's still 100% complete, and we're still hopefully going to be beginning construction this fall, but we really don't have much of an update from the previous meeting. And we're in a bit of a holding pattern while we wait for them to get ready to roll into that.
Have they posted bids yet, or are you still waiting on even bids to go out?
I think we're waiting on bids to go out, but I'd have to double check on that and confirm.
Always.
And then I'll pass it over to Tyler for item number 8.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. So with Mary Dunn, an evolving update. Submittal process is ongoing since our last update. We have hit a bit of a snag with the town's plumbing inspector. He with the emergency eye wash station that Weston and Sampson had specified in the contract. He had found issue with that. And so I've been spending a lot of time going back and forth with him and the engineer to kind of figure out the issue at hand. Come to find out that the type of water eye wash deluge station that was specified in the contract is not allowed, is more for temporary use in place of long-term use. So we've had to move to a full emergency eye wash and shower system that with tepid water. So that requires the addition of a water heater to the building, a water service, and a full shower with, the pull handle and the eye wash bowl. I have just gotten word from Weston and Sampson later today that they are kind of putting all their ducks in a row to kind of figure out, the redesign, trying to maintain a similar building footprint as we have directed to them. So this is kind of an evolving situation, but I think we have a path forward.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
how many expected before?
Right. I mean, this is why we manage these projects. So it's held us up about a month so far, but I think we have. I do think we have a good path forward at this point. So, any questions from the board?
No.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let me know if anything comes up. Thanks, Matt. Hans.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler.
Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
You
as
too.
well.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right, and then jumping back in on a pair of my projects to close out. So item number 9 is the 16-inch transmission main for Mary Dunn Road. I regret to inform you guys that I have not made progress on that since we last spoke. The one piece that may kind of come up that was a nice add-on was I had a conversation with the conservation agent recently about a separate project that may kind of exclude the request for determination of applicability for the work within the buffer zone that I brought up in my previous updates from needing to be done. Essentially, this would be work within an existing right-of-way, and she may be able to approve this administratively, which would help the overall timeline of getting this work completed. But other priorities have kind of taken precedence over this project for the time being. So I'm hopeful, once again, that I'll be able to make a little bit more progress on this by the time that we next meet. But things are busy and active right now, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on this project.
No.
Okay. And then item number 10 is our Mary Dunn tank number 1 rehabilitation project. Still currently just waiting for the start of October to get this project out for bidding. We have the submission package ready to go, and just needs final approval from DPW leadership before we're able to get that out at the October deadline. So I'm in the process of having that work completed by management, having them finish that review, and then plan on getting this over to procurement right at the beginning of October. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
No. I mean, waiting
No.
patterns for waiting patterns.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I do appreciate the time tonight, and I thank you all for your time, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
you
you.
too, Tyler. Thank you for your hard work.
No problem. Anytime. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Okay. Moving on, recording and posting of board Zoom meetings and an update on that. As you saw at the beginning, we now are being recorded. We read the proper language from the state. And we'll be just doing that going forward. It has caused a little bit of a change with our in-person meetings. I know that the October one, we had to push it back an hour to a 6 o'clock start because of a room availability that has the recording function. So that's the only kind of difference, I'd say. But otherwise, it's just the new normal. Louise, any thoughts?
No thoughts on that.
Okay. Liens. Next up is our today's leaning day, if we wish it to be.
Lean into.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish we didn't have to, but that's just not reality, I guess. Basically what's happening in front of you is the yearly lien list. We normally, we can only lien, according to town rules and regs, the previous fiscal year's charges and fees. So that is anything older than that, we need to work through collections to get that, okay? So that is why you see, if you look on the spreadsheet, the total amount owed is most of the time more than the fiscal year 24 total lien amount, okay?
Mhm.
So that's one difference. The other issue is that on this lien list, we have a lot of the abandoned houses that are shut off and that are not occupied. And some of them have not been occupied for years. Same issue there, we can only lien fiscal year 24 charges. Long term, we do not have to worry because when the transfer happened, we always get our money. It's just a matter of keeping our accounting as clean as possible. On top of that, we have also started to deal with our, I would call them quote unquote problem customers that have a hard time for whatever reason to pay. Or there's tenants there when we cannot shut them off. There's different reasons for why we can't shut people off. And this lien list gives us an alternative way to not make a collections issue worse for us. So it keeps us sort of balanced on our books. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. Louise showed me on page number 2, account, it's line item number 20, Richard Doby on, 142 Pitchers Way. Louise, you told me that the property did change hands.
Right,
And
through foreclosure.
yeah, what we did is we double checked that, and you are absolutely correct. The town website showed a different name. To the best of our knowledge, it's still shut off, and nobody has contacted us. So right now, we do not have the new owner did not contact us. The water is shut off, and we're basically in a holding pattern till they decide to come and talk to us.
Hmm.
So this is one of the items where the lien list in a sense is good, because the problem is not everybody follows the rules. Meaning that normally if you sell a property, the attorneys and the realtors make sure all these bills get processed, the last read, and everything is ready for closing. That's the normal procedure. But lots of times this doesn't happen when there's all kind of stuff going on where people just don't do it. And then lots of times we are behind the 8 ball. So what's happening accounting wise, what we do is when we transfer the account from the old owner to the new owner gets the bill too.
Mhm.
From the old owner, because the water charges stay with the property. The water charges do not go.
Right.
It's very different from, like, for instance, your gas account or your electric account, where it goes with your social security number and
Mhm.
it stays with the person. The water is not, because it's a municipality.
Right.
It stays with the property. So eventually we get our money. It's just a matter of when people, the realtors or whoever sells or buys the house, don't
Mhm.
follow the regular procedure. Lots of times things get, between a rock and a hard place, and then we have to kind of figure it out um, to make this work. So
I'm a little, I wonder about this property that I identified to you. People have been in there working, people have, I'm kind of surprised that there's no water to the house with the activity that I've seen, but
yeah, I basically checked this afternoon,
yeah,
this morning, whenever I called you. And our front office have no work order, no nothing. To the best of our knowledge, we still have the old owner, we still have it shut off. That's it. I mean, if people go out to Home Depot and buy a turning tool, in theory, they can, go on the curb stop and turn it back on themselves, but they're not supposed to. And I did put in a work order to check that and make sure it's
Yeah.
not happening.
But
Yeah.
is there any thought, can we go over to the plumbing department, the plumbing inspector and say, hey, this is a shut off valve that if you get a request for a plumbing inspection, basically you need to notify us because they don't have the authority to have water turned on right now.
Yeah, we do not do that. That's basically not something we do. We keep it
Okay.
separate, and it would be more a Board of Health issue anyways.
Okay.
But the problem is if people don't notify you,
Yeah.
how do you know? Because we have like close to 8,000 accounts.
Yeah.
So this lean process is one of the many tools
Yeah.
we use and we can use to kind of manage this issue.
Right.
But it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray areas, and this is one of those issues, Louise. Thank you for putting it to our attention. It's one of those things we just have to work through it and eventually get our money. That's all.
Yeah. Hmm. There you go. Whoa.
So
Ooh.
So my recommendation is just to include this in the lien list and vote for it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, and it will flush out in the system. So okay.
Oh,
yep.
okay.
All right. Well, any other questions from people on this? Hans, do we want to talk about our grumpy goose this week?
You not
Okay.
not in the. I would say yes at the end. We have at the end of the agenda we have a matters not reasonably anticipated. That is when we should bring it up.
Okay. I will do that then. So if anyone doesn't have any more questions on this, Amy, do you have any?
No, I don't.
Okay. So then what we need to do is we need to a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 liens per this list. Is that right, Hans?
Yes.
And then we'll vote. Do we need a roll call vote or voice vote?
Yes, you're gonna need a roll call vote.
Okay. Roll call vote. And then they'll go ahead. I'll need to have everyone and I can get a hold of Tim and Patrick, and you need to go over and pay visit to Hans and sign the document, and then it'll get sent off and leaned.
Actually, what we'll do, Sam, is if you guys can take care of the vote, roll call vote.
Yep.
Afterwards, I'll just visit you three board members and get your signature. That's easier. Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'll motion to lien the properties as listed on the fiscal year 24 accounts to be lien file with the amounts as shown fiscal year 24.
Okay. And I'll motion to second it.
Thank you. So, Louise,
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And I vote yes, and we have Timothy Stump and Patrick Ehart would obviously are not here, so
Okay.
abstain for them.
I'm sorry.
They're not here, so they would be abstained, right?
That's correct. They're not part of this vote,
Right.
which is okay. You got quorum, so we still can move forward.
Yep. All right. All right. Well, moving on from that, the lead line flyer. Hans, I know we kind of covered this a bit already. Do you want to talk more about it?
Not too much. I just wanted to tell you guys that it really worked out. I think the puppy on the picture of the puppy on the front of the flyer really worked out well. I was surprised to see how quick people came and dropped off their flyers here. The other thing is, I guess the other towns that Kleinfeld is working with, one of them is Yarmouth, they do not do the credit, and they have a hard time getting enough responses. So it's going to be interesting to see. People are back next week from vacation to see where we are with the responses, and I hope we are going to be close to 500-600 or more, but we really don't know.
Well, you need carrots.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're great that we're doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And it's
I think
People
I think
involved.
it's reason. Yeah, and I think it's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
People's time is valuable.
Absolutely. Okay, there you go.
All right. That sounds good. All right, next up as the next generation at-large youth water board member. So we sent the letter off to Mark Ells. I met with Mark about 2 weeks ago about this. He had spoken with town's attorney, who seemed to be doing more work than anyone else combined on the Cape right now. And they had to say, unfortunately, we can't do it as we initially kind of envisioned. To sit on a town committee like this, you have to be a registered voter in the town, which means you must be 18, which rules out most anyone who's not basically like a senior spring.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to keep this at the high school level more than the college level. So he recommended an option to work with the youth committee, since they have some sort of loophole they can put kids on committees, apparently. So I have an email back and forth with the chair of the youth committee. Mark was kind enough to connect us. I have not had a chance to meet with them, but we're going to talk to him about working through their process with someone that we would mutually choose to put on to have us join on the board for the year.
Okay.
So we're making its machinations. It's getting there. So
Who would have thought it was this complicated?
Yeah.
Oh no, Sam, you have to realize if it's easy, there's something wrong. It has to be difficult. Otherwise, it's not worth doing,
There you go.
there you go.
Yeah, welcome to the town and the bureaucracy we have to work through to get things done. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And
And I
you
know
need
that,
you need a lot of patience.
and they have a lot on their plate right now that is much, much more important and time pressing than this. So I appreciate the time that Mark does give for these sorts of things. So
Mm.
So we'll have probably another update next month on this, and hopefully we'll have made some process and maybe be towards getting a kid for this year.
Mhm.
Okay, so matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. There are two of those. One is from me, one's from Hans. Just as a reminder, next month we will be on Zoom. October, we're going to be in person at Town Hall, but it's at 6 o'clock. We'll have more details on that
Mhm.
next month. And then Hans, we had a grumpy goose this week. Do you want to share a bit about that?
Yeah, just a little bit. It was basically an unfortunate event. Let's call it that. It's part of the collections process. When we have delinquent customers, there's a very specific process that we follow. We just don't just show up and shut them off. we basically try to do everything to contact them, to do anything than to shut people off. Because, our mission is, as the water supply division, to supply water, not to shut them off. But eventually we do need to get paid for our services. So basically what happened was a customer that's been in collections quite a few times. And during the process, we do letters first, email type of communications, phone calls. Then when we don't get a response that is reasonable, or lots of times there's no response at all, we go with a what we call a door knocker in the field. It's basically a door hanger we put on the storm door, and basically to tell people, hey, we're serious. And then 2 weeks later, we put another door hanger on it. That's door hanger number 2. And at that moment, we also make sure the shutoff valve, the curb valve, which is the shutoff valve to the property right on the property line, is working. So that is what happened with this particular customer. The issue there was that it was a brand spanking new driveway, about $15,000 worth of a driveway. And our field personnel didn't make the best field decision, let's say that. He basically just jackhammered a new brand spanking new driveway up. And because what happened is the curb stop was paved over, probably by accident, and lifted the curb stop and then just kind of like patched it all the way around. And so in a sense, he did what he thought was procedure, and it was. It's just, he probably should have talked to his supervisor when he saw a brand spanking new driveway instead of just taking the jackhammer out. But that's a conversation we already had. Bottom line is, this customer came very upset the next day to the office, to town hall, and to the DPW administration. And she brought a police officer with her, and we had to basically have a conversation with her and work through the issue. What we're dealing with now is to resolve it. I already talked to the paving company that put the new driveway in, and they are going to fix the patch a little bit better, so it's not as ugly, not as rough. And I'm basically working some kind of a payment deal with the customer to make sure we do get paid in a reasonable payment plan that she can afford. So that's kind of the issue. It was not fun to deal with, but I guess that's what happens sometimes. Any questions?
I would say 2 things. Kind of surprised, $15,000 driveway, but you can't pay your water bill. I'll leave that at that. 2, I also hope when you talk to the driveway company that maybe you said, hey, when you do this, these things you can't pave over. If you need it raised, call us. We'll be out there. We'll raise it for you.
I already had that conversation.
Good. But thank you guys I know it's not a fun morning for you. So thank you for your dealing with the crazy people.
She was upset. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Anyone else have something on this or anything else to add?
Hans, yesterday, I was in Yarmouth. I had to go to the registry, and it looked like it was an enormous water leak over on Forest Road. Forest Road going up to, it was huge. It was absolutely huge. Did you hear anything about that?
Nope, nothing.
It was big.
You're-
They,
You're the first one.
yeah, in Yarmouth, you have Forest Road. It was at the intersection of Forest Road and like Long Pond. I mean, it was huge, and there was water out on 28 by Dunkin'. It was big. So I wondered if you had heard about it from
No, no,
our neighboring town.
no,
A lot of water, a lot of water.
yep. Yeah. But
Yeah.
they have like 3 times as many wells as we have, so.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just saw that yesterday. So
Okay, thank you for the notification. You're the first one. I guess you guys are my eyes and ears out there, huh?
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, it was in the morning.
Okay.
And
All right.
it was big.
All right. Well, anyone have anything else?
Nope, I don't.
All right. Well, thank you all. I will, any motion to adjourn? I'll motion to
I-
adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
See you guys all.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Too.